to our top story now. The alleged triggerman in the Lolly Jackson murder will appear in the Kempton Park Magistrates Court tomorrow. George Louca will be charged with the murder of the owner of the Teaser strip club chain in 2010. For more on that story, we're joined by forensic consultant Paul Sullivan. Mr. Sullivan, thank you for your time this afternoon. Now, the Hawks mentioned earlier that this has been a 3-year-long process for them in the making, and they're glad that Louca is back in the country. What is the significance of him being back now? Well,
I think it's, a key point. I would describe George Louca as a supergrass. He knows more about the Radovan Krejcir associations and the underworld connections of Radovan Krejcir up until the period he left the country than anybody else. And I expect that there will be a lot of worried people out there right now.
Now, the Hawks have described him as a suspect. They have said that they are charging him with the murder. What do you know about his involvement in this case?
Look, I think they're obliged to charge him with the murder because he was there. But I don't believe he shot Lolly Jackson. And I think what will happen is, I made the point earlier that there were other people there too. And, the people that can really tell us what happened that night, well, the one would be Lolly Jackson himself, and he's dead. The other would be Cyril Beaker, and he's dead. The other would be George Louca, and he's just arrived back from his 3-year stay in Cyprus. And then, of course, I'd like to hear what Joey Mabasa, the then general in crime intelligence, would have to say, because Joey Mabasa was also there. So, he came out with a story at the time that he received a phone call from George Louca, or George Smith as he was then known, to say that I've just shot Lolly Jackson. And I've got no doubt in my mind at all that George Louca did not phone Mabasa and say, I've just shot Lolly Jackson. So I think the truth will now come out.
Okay, now you do say that you don't believe that Louca shot Lolly Jackson. So what do you think his role is going to be in the prosecution of Jackson's killer, and to what extent can he be used in this case?
Well, you've got to remember that he only arrived back in the country today. And for the last 3 years or so, in fact, I think it's probably a bit more than 3 years now, for the last few years, he's been languishing in Cyprus. I mean, myself, I even went to Cyprus to track him down. And the thing is, his version of events hasn't been tested in court. So I think what we need to do is let the system gently unfold and see what will happen then. But quite clearly, the only version of events on the record right now is a sworn statement from General Joey Mabasa. And I imagine General Mabasa is probably getting quite worried now, as too with some of the other people that were involved.
Now, the Hawks have said that they are charging him with murder. They did say as well that they're not ruling out the possibility of other charges being added at a later stage. Do you think that that is possible? Could we possibly end up with an arm's length long list of charges against Louca?
I think Louca could face a number of charges. I mean, I've got absolute evidence of him having travelled to the Czech Republic in 2009. And he was part of a team of people that were sent by Radovan Krejcir to the Czech Republic for the purpose of assisting in the murder of 3 persons in the Czech Republic. So I don't think we can rule out that there will be a long charge list against Louca. But if I was in Louca's shoes, I'd be looking to cut myself a deal now. It's clear to me that Radovan Krejcir is going to spend the rest of his natural life behind bars. And I think George Louca has just got to make a decision now as to whether or not he spends as long with Krejcir or whether he becomes part of the solution instead of part of the problem.
Well, speaking of being in Louca's shoes, he has decided not to fight the extradition. Why do you think he made this decision?
Well, I think he's probably made that decision as a result of the fact that he's seen the wheels of justice turning. Sometimes we complain that there's no criminal justice system in South Africa. I've got every confidence in the system. I believe the system works, and for the most part it's manned by good men and women who are loyal to the police and loyal to the country. So I think what we're going to see now is a situation where Louca realized sitting behind bars in Cyprus wasn't getting him anywhere. he might as well come and sit behind bars here and then work towards a situation where maybe he'll do 1 or 2 years and then he'll be a free man. But he's going to have to sink quite a few people.
Well, he is due back in court tomorrow. I guess we'll wait to see how the events unfold. Paul O'Sullivan, thank you very much for your time. That was forensic consultant Paul O'Sullivan.
You deserve to know more.
eNCA.com.